Good morning. God, these talks may end up changing their normal timing, I guess, instead of doing it in the car. Sitting here at dark 30 in the middle of the night. And woke up thinking things and looking at the news and asking God's wisdom and using the brain that He gave me. And, one of the topics that keeps coming up, and it was used as a political pawn, it's been used as a domestic pawn for a while now, and that is on this whole sexual, what I call sexual revolution, and the fight against trans and LBGQ, and first of all, I want to say that, what happens in the bedroom is everyone's business. Isn't everyone's business, it's your own. That being said, some of the things can't be left in a closet, obviously. As we've gotten to be more touchy-feely and understanding of our own physical nature, we understand what's driving some of our psychosis and some of our depressions and whatever, and some of them are just are heartbreaking. Some of them are very real. But it all comes down to it's the physical science of our makeup. It's a DNA thing. It's natural. Okay? And those that, and I've wrote about this just recently, those that have an issue, be it a moral or whatever issue with, say, trans or any of the sexual or gender awareness things, I've always, and I don't know where it came from originally, actually, in me, but I've always had one argument, and it normally shuts it down. It shuts down hate, or at least the process of it. Anybody that's gone through that struggle, I've turned around and I've always brought up the concept and go, you seem like you're having a really hard time with this, based on morals, based on religious background, based on whatever. But you got to ask yourself one question. You're bringing in a right or wrong on a natural selection or a natural process. So, do you understand science? Okay? You need to prove to me that you can have an argument or an answer when you're trying to deal with the right and wrong of, say, a hermaphrodite or a person born with both genders. Okay? And I'll elaborate just a little bit. I didn't in my writing, but I'll elaborate just a little bit on that, because now we're not talking about a person who is, for whatever reason, has been born with two sexual organs. They may not be able to have a child or whatever. You can turn around and try dividing up the line as to exactly what chromosome they have more of or whatever the whole thing is, but they've been born with that. Regardless, they've been born with both of them, both body parts. The struggle for that human being, that one person, is very real. Okay? If you wanted to put a moral twist to it, Jesus said that if you accept or that you give a child a drink of water, in my name, and in compassion and understanding, the blessing of that is unimaginable. It's the blessing of that is in line with your morals, to be able to have concern and passion towards one. You may not understand it. No different than you understand another person's life after you've just met them. You don't know what they've gone through. But this situation, if you can turn around and explain to me the right and wrong of a person, say, who is a hermaphrodite, then we might have a viable conversation, or you may have a viable argument against everything. But until then, you need to understand it's nature. It's a human genome. It's a DNA. We're just now learning about all this stuff. We're just now learning about ancestry and genealogy and what is in our DNA. And, we can turn around and say that there's only male and female. We can say that all we want. But the human genome, that DNA strand, makes up anything it wants to independently in between those parameters that we've set. And it does it all the time. So you can turn around and hold the whole holy moral ground and say there's only a man and woman. But you need to understand, even when that concept was brought out in Scripture, the genome was at work. Okay? Making people small, tall, making people more hairy, less hairy, making people whatever. It was the natural process was still going on. And they didn't even have a clue about that back then. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what I'm saying is I used to hear a line from a friend that said, don't be so heavenly bound that you're no earthly good. Okay? We can hold on to these great wonders and still keep within the confines of a moral compass, a godly commission. We can still do that because it still comes down to having compassion and understanding for your fellow human being. You start to drop that guard, and that's what starts wars. That's what starts hate. That's what starts everything that goes against what Jesus taught. If you're going to use Jesus as your moral your flag, your banner. Okay? That's kind of what I wanted to say. We don't know all the answers. And that's something that is the thorn in my side. One of them. That any time that I try to get boisterous or whatever, pushing my chest out on things, I gotta remember, I don't know everything. There's always something to learn. And if we're talking about the inner workings, the quantum physics of physiology, you know, we definitely have only scratched the surface. So you don't go around pushing your chest out saying that this is right and wrong. You don't know what right and wrong is yet. You got a compass, but you got to make sure that, that when it comes down to the physical thing, okay, that it's that a natural process, okay, it happens. It is there to stretch our faith. It is there to stretch our minds and stretch our intellect as human beings. Embrace it as that. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Got nothing but love for you. I'm going back to bed. Good morning, good night. Sweet dreams.